Pathway will assist you in preparing paratext or fieldworks data for publication in paper or electronic format. During the demo, we'll step through outputting paratext as an electronic publication. Secondly, we'll begin with the Fieldworks Language Explorer Dictionary in a right-to-left writing system and output it using OpenOffice. Then we'll show how a project manager uses the configuration tool to set up Pathway. Next, we'll step through using the translation editor with a non-Roman writing system to produce a Word document. And finally, we'll walk through the installation. Paratext can easily create an electronic publication using Pathway. We'll show how to use Pathway from the File menu inside Paratext. We'll talk about what the Paratext user can do using the Print Via dialog. We'll briefly mention the importance of copyrights and then show you the resulting electronic publication. As a user, you begin by launching the Paratext program. Pathway should have already been installed. This might be what your language data would look like, and we would like to produce an electronic publication. On the File menu, you'll see Export to Pathway as one of the options. When you select Export to Pathway from the File menu, the Print Via dialog will be displayed. All that the user needs to do is available here. The Print Via drop-down displays options for electronic books, Go Bible, Word, OpenOffice, PDF, etc. In this case, we want to select the eBook, EPUB option. Now, before you are able to click the OK button, you have to select the checkbox indicating that you have complied with your organization's intellectual property, that's copyright, and archiving policies. To do this for electronic publications, you would likely need to use the configuration tool covered later in the demo to set up the copyright statement. For printed publications, it would mean adding the rights page to the document produced by Pathway. After clicking the OK button, Pathway will run, and in a few minutes, if you have an electronic publication viewer installed like this one, you will see the results showing as an electronic publication. The actual electronic publication file is stored in your Documents folder in the Publications subfolder. If you plan to use it on an e-reader, you would transfer it from there to your reader. If you are using the Kindle, you would need to convert it to the Kindle format. The README file describes programs available for making these kinds of conversions. The README file is displayed by the installer and is also available on the Start menu. Secondly, we will demonstrate how the Language Explorer with a right-to-left script can be output using OpenOffice. In the process, we will cover settings that can be done in the Language Explorer and what kinds of settings are added by the Pathway style sheets. Launch the Language Explorer and it will normally show you your language data. It supports all different kinds of writing systems, fonts, and keyboard layouts. For this demo to work, you will need to have previously installed OpenOffice. The README file explains how to get it installed and set up properly. From the Language Explorer on the Tools menu, you'll find Configure and then Dictionary. In the Configure dialog, you'll want to choose which fields you want to include in the publication. Set up any punctuation that you want before or after or between the fields, and select the styles to be used. In many cases, the default values of the Language Explorer may be sufficient. If you are producing the reversal as well, you'll configure it in a similar dialog, selecting Reversal View, Tools, Configure, and Reversal. When all the configuration settings have been made, clicking the OK button will return you to the main lexical editing window. You will see the current entry formatted using the configuration in the upper left pane. Pathway outputs the entries in the order they are shown in the Language Explorer. This screen shows the entries ordered by headword. The headword is circled in green. Language Explorer reorders the entries when you click next to the field name, that is, to provide the primary ordering. The yellow diamond indicates where to click to sort by headword. The arrow points up, indicating ascending order. Clicking a second time will change the order to descending. Most often, you will want the entries in ascending order by headword. Language Explorer also allows you to filter the data so that you don't output all of it. To filter the entries, you select the columns that you will like to use for filtering. On the second row, just below the field name, is the drop-down for selecting the kind of filter. The help file has a complete explanation on filtering. Filtering is totally optional. Without filters, all the entries will be included. When you are ready, on the File menu, choose Export, and then in the dialog, select Dictionary Reversal Pathway, and click Export. The Print Via dialog will be displayed, very similar to what you saw in Paratext. You have the option of outputting the configured dictionary or the reversal or both. Oftentimes, it is better to just do one at a time. Notice the different style sheets available to you. The default, unless changed in the configuration tool, will be the Fieldwork styles. For our demo, we will choose Arabic-based style sheet since our data consists of an Arabic-based writing system in the vernacular language, and we want the output to be formatted right to left. The button next to Select Layout displays a dialog that previews the layouts. On the bottom left, an Edit Layout button can be used to launch the configuration tool, which we'll demo in a minute. The previews in this dialog use a standard set of data, not your data. Once you have selected the one you want, clicking OK closes the dialog. When you click the OK button, Pathway will run. Once the OpenOffice conversion is complete, the resulting file will be launched using OpenOffice. A macro has been included in the document which will update the headers with the first and last headword on the page. When OpenOffice is installed, macros are disabled. As described in the README file, you will want to enable them. I've enabled them, but I'm using a medium level of security so that it will ask me always if I want to run the macros in a particular document. Enabling the macros in OpenOffice is done on the Tools Options menu. In the dialog, you'll see Security as one of the options, and then Macro Security. You may not want to run the macro when launching a document because you plan to adjust the size of the pictures or the copyright page or whatever. This is especially useful on large documents where you won't want to run the macro more often than necessary. The macro can be run from the macro menu item as well. You may remember that Print Via dialog has a checkbox to indicate if you want to automatically run the macro. Once the macro is finished, the header is set up. This output is formatted to be read from the right side of the page since the headword is in the right to left script. We've seen two programs, Paratext for Scripture and Language Explorer for dictionaries. These are content preparation programs designed for users. The configuration tool is designed for use by project managers. It works with both kinds of input and all the different media supported by Pathway. It allows the manager to set up style sheets, especially for page formatting and things like copyrights, since the content preparation programs don't allow you to enter these kinds of settings. Launch the configuration tool using the icon you see in the upper left. When you install, the icon will be on the desktop and on the Start menu under Pathway. On the left sidebar, underneath the red box, choose whether to enter dictionary or scripture settings. Inside the red box, choose from the different media types. The ones that are available for dictionary are paper and other. Other is used for electronic publications. After selecting the media type, in this case paper, the configuration tool displays the available style sheets. If you want to change any of the styles, the steps are: choose your input type in the purple rounded box, then choose your media type from the green oval on the left. Next, pick the style sheet to use as the basis for the new one you are creating. I chose Fieldworks Arabic Based. Then click the Save As button in the pink hexagon on the top. The configuration tool creates a copy of the Fieldworks Arabic Based like the one highlighted on the bottom of the style list in blue. I changed the name on the Info tab with the green star to My Arabic Based. Then clicking the Properties tab, change any of the properties according to your needs. Properties can't be changed on standard style sheets, only on custom style sheets. In the grid, a column identifies those that are installed by the program and are standard style sheets, and those that are created, which are the custom style sheets. This is an example of what the Properties tab looks like for an electronic publication like we did before. You'll notice that on the Properties tab, you set things like the publisher, the copyright statement, and other processing properties like whether the fonts should be embedded or not. Another function of the configuration tool is to set the default values for Pathway to be used in Paratext, Fieldworks Language Explorer, or the Translation Editor. Set the default values by clicking the Defaults button on the toolbar shown in the red hexagon button on the screen. It displays essentially the same dialog that you will see in these applications. Choose whether the boxes should be checked or unchecked, the default output type for print via, the selected layout. You can set the selected layout to any custom style sheet as well. In the next section, the Translation Editor produces a Word document using a non-Roman script. We'll address how to activate Pathway in the Translation Editor, filtering, setup of the headers, etc. Like Fieldworks, the Translation Editor works well with any writing system and keyboard layout. Along with its power, the Translation Editor is easy to use. In order to use Pathway from within the Translation Editor, activate it on the Tools menu under the Options selection by clicking the Advanced tab. On the Advanced tab, you will activate the Pathway Exports Experimental feature. Optionally filter the books to be exported. For example, on the View menu under Filters and Filter by Book, I've selected Luke and Acts. Since book names are included in the header, it's important to ensure that they are set up correctly for each book that will be included in the publication. Book names to be used in the headers are set on the File menu under Properties, Book Properties. Set the name and the abbreviation of the book in each writing system for each book. Now from the File menu, choose Export and Pathway. Pathway will display the Print Via dialog box. The default layout is Application Styles. The term application was used because this dialog is used for both Paratext and the Translation Editor. The Application Styles layout selection will give you the styles set up in the Translation Editor or Paratext. Finally, we'll demonstrate how easy it is to install Pathway. First, if you have Pathway already installed, you have to uninstall the old version before installing the new one. From the Start menu, use the Control panel. Choose Add or Remove Programs or Uninstall. Select the Pathway program that was installed previously and launch the uninstaller. If you don't have the latest version of Pathway already, you can get it from the website silpathway.wordpress.com/download. You will make the decision of which version of Pathway you want based on the version of Paratext or Fieldworks you currently use. Clicking the link causes the download to start automatically. Once the program has been downloaded, you'll double-click on the downloaded program, usually in the Downloads folder, which launches the installer. When you launch the Pathway installer, you will see the Welcome screen. Follow the steps of the wizard to install Pathway. Normally, Pathway keeps track of the settings that you have made in the configuration tool from one installation to another. These will be migrated for you. They are saved in the folder C, Documents and Settings, All Users, Application Data, SIL under Pathway. Sometimes users had to delete this Pathway folder if they have had a crash for some reason, but that is a very unusual case. Well, the next step is to go to silpathway.wordpress.com and get started.